What if the most dangerous lie you believe today did not come from Shaitan, an enemy, or someone trying to deceive you? What if it came from inside you? Your nafs knows exactly what you want to hear, so it rarely says, choose what is wrong. It says, you deserve this. They hurt you first. Your intentions are good. You can repent later. And that is what makes it dangerous. A lie becomes much harder to recognize when it sounds like your own voice. In this video, you will discover 5 ways your nafs can make pride feel like dignity, attachment feel like love, and disobedience feel completely reasonable. Stay until the final lesson, because the nafs becomes most dangerous when you stop questioning it. 1. Your nafs doesn't make sin look evil. It makes disobedience feel right. If every sin looked dangerous, staying away from sin would be much easier. Imagine if every wrong choice came with a clear warning. This will take you away from Allah. This will make your heart weaker. This will steal your peace. This may become a habit that is hard to leave. This will give you pleasure for a few minutes, but regret may stay much longer. Most people would stop and think twice, but sin does not always come to you like that. Sometimes your nafs makes the wrong thing sound harmless. It changes the words. It gives your desire a good excuse. It does not say, delay your salah. It says, you still have plenty of time. It does not say, become arrogant. It says, do not let anyone disrespect you. It does not say, keep hatred in your heart. It says, remember what they did to you. It does not say, try to impress people. It says, show them how successful you have become. It does not say, cross the limits Allah has given you. It says, your intentions are good. Allah knows your heart. This is how the nafs can fool you. It does not always make you believe that something bad is good. Sometimes it simply gives you enough excuses to continue doing it. And after hearing those excuses again and again, the wrong thing begins to feel normal. That is the danger. Pride sounds bad, but the nafs may call it self-respect. Revenge sounds bad, but the nafs may call it justice. Showing off sounds bad, but the nafs may call it inspiring people. Uncontrolled anger sounds bad, but the nafs may call it being honest. Attachment sounds dangerous, but the nafs may tell you, I just love them deeply. There is an important difference here. Self-respect is not wrong. Justice is not wrong. Confidence is not wrong. Love is not wrong. But your nafs can sometimes use good words to hide bad intentions. And that is why you have to learn to look deeper. Do not only ask, what am I doing? Also ask, why am I doing it? Imagine someone tells you that you hurt them. Maybe your husband or wife says, the way you spoke to me really hurt. Maybe your parents point out something you did wrong. Maybe a close friend gives you sincere advice. For one moment, you know they may be right. Something inside you feels uncomfortable. You know you could have behaved better, but then another voice begins speaking. They misunderstood me. They are too sensitive. They do the same thing. They are not perfect either. They started it. Why should I apologize first? And suddenly you stop thinking about what you did. Now you are thinking about everything they did. This is how quickly the nafs can protect itself. Think about it carefully. Your nafs did not prove that you were right. It simply stopped you from asking whether you were wrong. That is a big difference. Sometimes the truth is right in front of us, but instead of accepting it, we search for reasons to escape it. And finding excuses is easy. You can always find someone who has done something worse. You can always remember what the other person did first. You can always say, you don't understand my situation. You can always blame your stress, your anger, your childhood, your problems, your circumstances. And sometimes those things really do affect us. But there is a difference between understanding why you made a mistake and using that reason to defend the mistake. Maybe you were tired, but you still spoke badly. Maybe you were angry, but you still hurt someone. Maybe someone treated you unfairly, but you still crossed a line. Maybe you wanted something very badly, but wanting it did not make it halal. Sometimes one of the strongest things a believer can say is, yes, I was hurt, but I was still wrong. Or, yes, they made a mistake, but I made one too. Or, yes, I was angry, but I should not have spoken like that. Or simply, I was wrong. May Allah forgive me. Those words are difficult for the Nafs. The Nafs wants to win. It wants to protect its pride. It wants to prove that everyone else is the problem, but your goal as a believer is not to win every argument. Your goal is to return to Allah with a clean heart. And sometimes that means admitting something your ego does not want to admit. I made a mistake. There is no shame in that. The real danger is making a mistake and then spending years defending it, because you cannot truly repent from something that you still refuse to admit was wrong. This is why excuses can become dangerous. An excuse can make you feel better today while keeping you away from change tomorrow. Your nafs says, you had a reason, but your heart may know, I still need to fix this. Listen to that feeling. When you feel the need to defend yourself immediately, slow down. You do not have to answer everything in the same moment. Ask yourself, why am I becoming so defensive? Ask, is there some truth in what this person is telling me? Ask, if someone else did exactly what I did, would I defend them the same way? And most importantly, ask, am I trying to please Allah, or am I only trying to prove that I am right? That question can reveal a lot, because sometimes we are not defending the truth. We are defending our pride. And sometimes Allah allows someone to correct you because He wants to save you from something inside yourself that you cannot see. The advice may hurt, the truth may be uncomfortable. Your ego may not like hearing it. But not everything that makes you uncomfortable is bad for you. Sometimes discomfort is mercy. Think about medicine. It may taste bitter, but it can heal you. In the same way, a truth about yourself may hurt your pride, but accepting it may heal your heart. So do not ask Allah only to show you the faults of other people. Ask Him to show you your own. Ask Allah to help you see when pride is controlling you. Ask Him to show you when you are making excuses. Ask Him to give you the courage to admit when you are wrong. Because your nafs will always prefer the comfortable story. The story where you are innocent. The story where everyone else is responsible. The story where your desires are always reasonable. But spiritual growth begins when you stop asking, what story makes me feel better? And begin asking, what is true before Allah? Your nafs wants comfort, but your soul needs purification. Your nafs wants to protect your pride, but Allah wants to purify your heart. And sometimes that purification begins with one simple, difficult sentence. I was wrong. And when you can say that sincerely, something powerful happens. Your nafs becomes a little weaker, your heart becomes a little softer, and your path back to Allah becomes a little clearer. So remember this, the nafs does not always make sin look beautiful. Sometimes it simply gives you enough excuses to stop seeing it as sin. That is why you must question the voice inside you. Not every feeling is guidance. Not every desire deserves to be followed. Not every excuse is true, and not everything that feels right is right before Allah. Sometimes the first step toward purification is realizing, I have been calling this right because it was easier than admitting I needed to change. 2. Your nafs turns your pain into permission to become someone Allah never asked you to be. Pain can change the way you think. It can change the way you trust. It can change the way you speak. It can even change the way you see people. Maybe someone betrayed you. Maybe someone left when you needed them most. Maybe someone embarrassed you. Maybe someone used your kindness against you. Maybe someone kept disappointing you until something inside you became tired. Pain like this is real. Islam does not ask you to pretend it did not hurt. You do not have to act strong when your heart is heavy. You do not have to deny your sadness. You do not have to say, "It was nothing." Sometimes it was something. Sometimes it changed you deeply. But this is where you need to be careful, because the nafs can take a real wound and use it to justify a wrong reaction. It says, "You were too kind before, now become cold. You trusted people before, never trust again. You were ignored before, now make sure everyone notices you. You were hurt before, do not let anyone get close. You were disrespected before, never apologize to anyone. You were left before, hold tightly to the next person, even if the relationship is hurting your deen." And slowly, your pain becomes permission. Permission to be harsh, permission to be bitter, permission to cross boundaries, permission to hurt others, permission to stop changing. This is dangerous because the excuse feels very strong. You say, "You do not know what I have been through." And maybe people really do not know. But Allah knows. He knows every tear. He knows every night you could not sleep. He knows every betrayal. He knows every disappointment. He knows the things you never told anyone. But even with all of that, Allah never asked you to let pain become your master. Pain may explain your behavior, but it does not always excuse it. There is a big difference. Maybe you became angry because you were hurt. That explains the anger. But it does not make every cruel word right. Maybe you became afraid because someone betrayed you. That explains the fear. But it does not mean every new person deserves your suspicion. Maybe you became attached because you were lonely. That explains the attachment. But loneliness does not make every relationship good for you. Maybe you became proud because people once made you feel small. That explains why you want to protect yourself. But pride is still pride. The nafs loves to say, "I am like this because of what happened to me." And sometimes that is true, but the next question is more important. Do I want to stay like this? That is where healing begins. You may not be responsible for the wound, but you are responsible for what you do with it. Someone may have hurt you, but you still decide whether that pain makes you wiser or harder. Someone may have lied to you, but you still decide whether you become careful or suspicious of everyone. Someone may have left you, but you still decide whether you return to Allah or become desperate for another person's attention. Someone may have humiliated you, but you still decide whether you grow in dignity or become controlled by ego. This is one of the hardest parts of healing. You cannot always choose what happens to you, but with Allah's help, you can choose what you become after it. Your nafs wants to build an identity around the pain. It says, "This is just who you are now. I cannot trust. I cannot forgive. I cannot love properly. I cannot change." Be careful with the word cannot. Sometimes what we call cannot really means, "I am afraid to try again," or "I do not want to feel that pain again," or "I have become comfortable using this wound as an excuse." Healing does not mean becoming naive. It does not mean trusting everyone. It does not mean going back to people who harmed you. It does not mean allowing the same behavior again. Islam allows wisdom. Islam allows boundaries. Islam allows distance. But there is a difference between a boundary and a wall around your entire heart. A boundary says, "I will protect myself from what is harmful." A wall says, "I will never let anyone in again." A boundary comes from wisdom. A wall often comes from fear, and the nafs can make fear sound like strength. It can say, "I do not need anyone." But deep inside, you may simply be afraid of being disappointed again. It can say, "I have no feelings anymore." But deep inside, you may still be carrying old pain. It can say, "I have moved on." But every time you remember the person, anger still controls your mood. That is not freedom. That is pain wearing a new name. Real healing is different. Real healing means the memory no longer controls your character. You can remember what happened without becoming what happened to you. You can remember the betrayal without becoming dishonest. You can remember the rejection without begging people to choose you. You can remember the disrespect without becoming disrespectful. You can remember the loss without losing your relationship with Allah. That is strength. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop using your pain as a reason to remain the same. Ask yourself honestly, what has my pain been giving me permission to do? Has it given you permission to become rude, to become distant, to avoid people, to chase validation, to stay in something unhealthy, to refuse advice, to hold anger for years, to stop trusting Allah's plan? This question can reveal a lot because sometimes the wound is old, but the excuse is still active. You may have been hurt years ago, but you are still making choices today because of it. At some point you have to decide, will this pain keep shaping my future, or will I let Allah use it to shape me into someone better? There is a huge difference between being broken by pain and being taught by pain. Pain can teach you patience. It can teach you who truly matters. It can teach you to stop depending completely on people. It can bring you closer to Allah. It can make you more careful, more compassionate, more understanding. But only if you let Allah guide what the pain becomes. Otherwise the Nafs will take over. And the Nafs will say, since you suffered, you now have a right to become whatever your pain wants you to become. No, you still belong to Allah, even in pain, even in betrayal, even in loneliness, even in disappointment. You still belong to Allah, so your wound does not get to decide your values. Your sadness does not get to decide your boundaries. Your anger does not get to control your tongue. Your loneliness does not get to choose your relationships. And your past does not get to own your future. You can feel hurt and still be kind. You can feel disappointed and still be fair. You can feel lonely and still choose what is halal. You can feel angry and still control yourself. You can miss someone and still walk away if staying is pulling you away from Allah. You can carry pain without letting pain carry you. That is what the Nafs does not want you to learn. Because once you understand this, one of its strongest excuses disappears. You stop saying, this is who they made me, and you begin saying, with Allah's help, I can become better than what happened to me. That is a powerful shift. Your past may explain you, but it does not have to control you. Your wound may be part of your story, but it does not have to become your identity. And the person who hurt you does not deserve the power to decide what kind of believer you will become. So take your pain to Allah. Do not hide it. Do not pretend it is small. Speak to Him about it. Cry if you need to. Ask Him to heal the places no one else can see. But also ask Him something deeper. Ya Allah, do not let my pain change me into someone you do not love. Because sometimes the real victory is not that you never got hurt. The real victory is that after everything you went through, your heart still chose Allah over bitterness. 3. Your Nafs shows you everyone else's darkness, so you never notice your own. There is something strange about the human heart. We can often see another person's faults very clearly, but our own faults can remain hidden from us for years. We notice when someone is arrogant. We notice when someone is jealous. We notice when someone talks too much. We notice when someone wants attention. We notice when someone is selfish. We notice when someone becomes angry too quickly. But when the same weakness appears inside us, suddenly there is an explanation. When someone else gets angry, we say, they have a bad temper. When we get angry, we say, I was under a lot of pressure. When someone else speaks badly, we say, they have bad character. When we do it, we say, they pushed me too far. When someone else wants attention, we say, they are insecure. When we want attention, we say, I just want to feel appreciated. When someone else refuses advice, we say, they are arrogant. When we refuse advice, we say, they do not understand my situation. This is one of the tricks of the Nafs. It gives you reasons for your own mistakes while giving other people labels for theirs. And if you are not careful, you can spend years studying everyone around you while knowing very little about yourself. You know who is fake, who is jealous, who has changed, who cannot be trusted, who has an ego, who needs to improve. But when was the last time you looked at yourself with the same attention, not to hate yourself, not to think you are worthless, but to ask honestly, what inside me still needs work? That question is difficult for the Nafs, because the Nafs would rather put someone else on trial. It is much easier to discuss their mistakes than your own. It is easier to say, they need to change, than to say, maybe I need to change too. And one of the easiest ways the Nafs escapes self-examination is through comparison. You make a mistake, then instead of asking, how can I become better, you look for someone doing something worse. You miss a prayer and think, at least I pray more than some people. You speak badly about someone and think, at least I am not doing what they do. You waste hours every day and think, at least I am not involved in bigger sins. You treat your family badly but think, at least everyone outside thinks I am a good person. And slowly, your standard changes. You stop comparing yourself to what Allah asks from you. You start comparing yourself to people who make you feel comfortable about your weaknesses. This is dangerous, because there will almost always be someone doing worse than you. If that is your standard, you will always have a reason not to change. But on the day you stand before Allah, the question will not be, were you better than that person? You will answer for your own life, your own choices, your own words, your own intentions, your own heart. Someone else's sin will not erase yours. Someone else's weakness will not purify your heart. Someone else's bad character will not make your bad character acceptable. Their account is theirs, your account is yours, and there is another danger in constantly looking at the faults of others. You may begin to feel better than them. Maybe Allah helped you leave a sin. Maybe you started praying regularly. Maybe you began learning more about Islam. Maybe you changed the way you dress. Maybe you left a bad environment. Maybe you became more careful about halal and haram. These are beautiful blessings. But the Nafs can take even a blessing and turn it into pride. Instead of saying, Alhamdulillah, Allah guided me, something inside you begins saying, why can't everyone else be like me? You look at someone struggling and think, how can they still be doing that? You look at someone who knows less and feel more important. You look at someone whose life is messy and feel spiritually above them. Be careful. You did not guide yourself. Allah guided you. You did not create the opportunity that helped you change. Allah opened that door. You do not even know whether you would have stayed away from certain sins if Allah had placed you in different circumstances. Guidance should make you grateful, not proud. The more Allah gives you, the more humble you should become. Because you begin to understand, if Allah had not helped me, where would I be? There may be someone you look down upon today who cries to Allah tonight with a sincerity you have never experienced. There may be someone struggling publicly who is fighting harder than you know. There may be someone whose weakness is obvious but whose heart is humble. And there may be someone whose worship looks beautiful while pride is quietly growing inside. We do not know what is hidden inside people's hearts. That is why looking down on others is so dangerous. You see one chapter. Allah knows the entire story. You see their present. Allah knows their future. You see their mistake. Allah may already know the Tawbah they will make tomorrow. So instead of asking, why are they like this, sometimes ask, what is this situation showing me about myself? Maybe someone succeeds and you suddenly feel uncomfortable. Do not immediately ignore that feeling. Ask, why did their success bother me? Maybe jealousy is hiding there. Someone receives praise and you feel irritated. Ask, why did I need that attention? Someone corrects you and you immediately become angry. Ask, why is being corrected so difficult for me? Someone disagrees with you and you cannot let the conversation end until they admit you are right. Ask, why do I need to win? Someone has something you desperately want and you begin finding faults in them. Ask, would I be judging them this harshly if I had what they have? These questions are uncomfortable, but they can reveal what the Nafs wants to keep hidden. And sometimes the person who annoys you most reveals something about yourself. Maybe you hate arrogance because you struggle with pride. Maybe you cannot stand people who seek attention because you secretly want attention too. Maybe someone's success irritates you because it touches an insecurity you have never faced. This does not mean every dislike is secretly your own fault. Sometimes people really do behave badly, but the believer does not only ask, what is wrong with them? The believer also asks, what is happening inside me? That second question creates growth, because you cannot change what you refuse to see. If there is jealousy in your heart, you need to see it before you can fight it. If there is pride, you need to admit it before you can humble yourself. If there is anger, you need to recognize it before you can control it. If you are addicted to people's approval, you need to be honest about it before you can become free from it. The Nafs does not want this honesty. It wants you busy with everyone else. It wants you checking their behavior, their mistakes, their intentions, their weaknesses. Because every minute spent judging them is a minute you are not examining yourself. And sometimes this becomes even more dangerous when a person gains Islamic knowledge. Knowledge is a beautiful blessing, but knowledge must soften you. Imagine someone begins learning more about Islam. They learn what is halal and haram. They learn about salah. They learn about character. They begin recognizing mistakes they never noticed before. At first, this knowledge brings them closer to Allah. But slowly, something changes. Now they enjoy correcting people. They enjoy winning religious arguments. They enjoy being the person who knows the answer. They begin looking at struggling Muslims with disgust instead of mercy. They start measuring people's Iman from a distance. And without realizing it, knowledge that was supposed to humble them begins feeding their ego. That is a serious danger. Because you can know many things about Islam and still know very little about your own heart. You can explain arrogance while being arrogant. You can speak about sincerity while wanting praise. You can teach patience while treating your own family badly. You can remind thousands of people about Allah while privately needing everyone to admire you. Knowledge alone does not automatically purify the Nafs. Knowledge must lead to action, and action must lead to humility. The more you understand Allah, the less impressed you should become with yourself, because you begin to realize how much you still need Him. So when you learn something beneficial, do not immediately think, I know someone who needs to hear this. First ask, how does this apply to me? When you hear a reminder about arrogance, examine your own pride. When you hear about forgiveness, think about the person you still refuse to forgive. When you hear about controlling anger, remember the people who receive the worst side of you. When you hear about sincerity, examine why you do what you do. Let the reminder reach your heart before you send it to someone else's phone, because sometimes we share advice with everyone except ourselves. And this is where real self-awareness begins. Not with believing you are terrible, but with being honest enough to know you are still being purified. You can be a good person and still have weaknesses. You can love Allah and still struggle with your ego. You can pray and still struggle with jealousy. You can know Quran and still need to improve your character. You can be respected by people and still have private battles no one knows. There is no shame in having something to work on. The danger is believing there is nothing left to work on. So ask Allah for something many people rarely ask for. Ask Him to show you yourself clearly. Ya Allah, show me the faults I cannot see. Show me the pride I keep calling confidence. Show me the jealousy I keep calling concern. Show me the anger I keep calling honesty. Show me the attachment I keep calling love. Show me whatever is keeping my heart away from you. That dua requires courage, because Allah may show you something you do not like. You may realize that the problem was not always other people. You may realize that some arguments continued because you needed to win. You may realize that some relationships became painful because you expected another human being to give your heart what only Allah can give. You may realize that some of your anger came from pride. That realization may hurt, but it is better to feel the pain of seeing yourself clearly than to live comfortably inside a lie. A mirror does not insult you when it shows you something on your face. It gives you a chance to clean it. In the same way, when Allah allows you to recognize a weakness inside yourself, do not treat that awareness like punishment. It may be mercy, because now you can work on it. Now you can make Tawbah. Now you can ask Allah for help. Now you can change. The person in the greatest danger is not always the person who has faults. We all have faults. The greater danger is having faults you refuse to see because your nafs keeps pointing at everyone else. So the next time you find yourself deeply focused on someone's weakness, pause. Before judging them, look inward. Before asking, what is wrong with them? Ask, what can I correct in myself? Before saying, they need to change, ask, where do I still need to change? Because your nafs would love to make you an expert on everyone else's darkness while leaving you blind to your own. Do not give it that victory. Let other people's mistakes remind you to ask Allah for protection. Let their struggles make you grateful for guidance. Let their weaknesses make you compassionate rather than proud. And when you discover darkness inside yourself, do not despair. Bring it to Allah. A weakness you recognize can be fought. A sin you admit can be repented from. A heart that knows it needs purification can still return. But the weakness you refuse to see can quietly grow for years. Sometimes the most dangerous blindness is not failing to see what is wrong around you. It is seeing everyone clearly except yourself. 4. When your nafs cannot pull you away from Allah, it tries to make your worship about you. There is a stage in your journey where the tricks of the nafs can become harder to notice. You start praying more regularly. You begin reading Quran. You listen to Islamic reminders. You leave certain sins. You become more careful about what is halal and haram. You try to improve your character. You give charity. You help people. You speak about Allah. From the outside, everything looks better. And Alhamdulillah, these are beautiful changes, but this is exactly where you must remain careful. Because the nafs does not always fight you by saying, stop worshipping Allah. Sometimes it realizes that you are not going to stop. So it tries something else. It says, keep worshipping, but make sure people notice. This is a much quieter danger. You begin doing something for Allah, then someone praises you. You are such a good Muslim. You have changed so much. You know so much about Islam. You are such a generous person. At first, you simply feel happy. There is nothing strange about appreciating kind words. But slowly, if you are not careful, something can change. You begin waiting for the praise. You begin noticing when it does not come. You begin feeling more excited about good deeds people can see, and less excited about good deeds only Allah can see. Now the deed may still look the same from the outside, but something inside the heart has started changing. The nafs has found another way to feed itself. It could not stop the worship, so now it wants a share of the worship. It wants attention, recognition, respect, praise. It wants people to think, he is very religious, she is very close to Allah. They are such a good person. And this is why sincerity requires constant care. Because you can begin something for Allah and later find yourself enjoying people's attention more than you expected. Imagine you give charity. No one knows. You feel peaceful. Then one day you give publicly and people praise you. They call you generous. They speak well of you. The next time you give, something inside you remembers how that praise felt. Now a new thought appears. Maybe people should know about this. Again, there may be good reasons for giving publicly. Sometimes public charity encourages others. The problem is not simply that people saw you. The deeper question is, what did your heart want from being seen? That is where you have to be honest. Would you still give if nobody knew? Would you still pray if nobody admired you? Would you still help someone if they never thanked you? Would you still learn Islam if nobody called you knowledgeable? Would you still speak good words if nobody praised you for them? Would you still avoid the sin if there were no people around to respect you for avoiding it? These questions can reveal something important, because sometimes we think we are seeking Allah's pleasure when part of us is also seeking people's approval. And the Nafs loves approval. It wants to be seen. It wants to be respected. It wants to feel important. Sometimes it even wants to be known as humble. That is how subtle this battle can become. A person may say, "I do not care what anyone thinks about me," but deep inside, they may be proud that people see them as someone who does not care. A person may speak constantly about humility, but secretly enjoy being known as humble. A person may talk about avoiding dunya, but feel superior to people who have more worldly things. Even humility can become food for the ego if you are not careful. That is why the goal is not to become obsessed with yourself. You do not need to question every good deed until you become afraid to do anything. You simply need to keep returning your intention to Allah before the deed. Remind yourself, this is for Allah. During the deed, remind yourself, Allah is watching me. After the deed, ask, Ya Allah, accept this from me. Then move forward. Do not sit there admiring what you did. Do not keep replaying your goodness in your mind. Do not believe Allah owes you something because you worshipped Him. Even your ability to worship was a gift from Allah. Think about that. Who gave you the body with which you pray? Allah. Who gave you the ability to stand? Allah. Who gave you the tongue with which you make dhikr? Allah. Who gave you the money from which you give charity? Allah. Who gave you the time? Allah. Who allowed you to hear a reminder that changed your heart? Allah. Who opened the door of Tawbah? Allah. Who gave you the desire to return? Allah. So when you do something good, what is there to become arrogant about? You are using blessings from Allah to worship Allah. That understanding should make the heart humble. Instead of saying, "Look what I have done," the heart says, "Alhamdulillah that Allah allowed me to do it." That is a completely different feeling. One feeds the ego, the other feeds gratitude. And gratitude protects the heart. There is another powerful way to train the nafs. Keep some good deeds secret. Not everything has to be known. You do not have to tell people every time you give charity. You do not have to announce every night you pray. You do not have to tell everyone how much Quran you read. You do not have to share every good thing you do. Have something between you and Allah, something nobody knows. Maybe it is a small amount of charity. Maybe it is 2 rakas in the night. Maybe it is a private dua you make every morning. Maybe you regularly make dua for someone who does not even know you are praying for them. Maybe you help someone quietly. Maybe you forgive someone without telling the world how badly they hurt you. Maybe you leave a sin that no one even knew you were struggling with. There is something beautiful about a deed that has no audience except Allah. Your nafs cannot receive applause from it. People cannot congratulate you. Nobody can tell you how amazing you are. There is only you and Allah. And that teaches the heart a powerful lesson. Allah knowing is enough. Read that again inside your heart. Allah knowing is enough. If Allah saw your tears, that is enough. If Allah saw you walk away from temptation, that is enough. If Allah saw you control your anger, that is enough. If Allah saw you forgive, that is enough. If Allah saw the charity, that is enough. If Allah saw you get out of bed and pray while everyone else was asleep, that is enough. Why should the heart desperately need people to know when the Creator already knows? This is one of the freedoms of sincerity. You stop performing your goodness, you simply live it. You do not need everyone to know you are becoming better. You become better because Allah deserves your obedience. And sometimes the most sincere changes are the quietest ones. No announcement, no attention, no need to prove anything. Just a person slowly becoming different for Allah. But there is another trick you need to understand. Sometimes the Nafs uses fear of showing off to stop you from doing good. You want to help someone, then you think, what if people think I am showing off? You want to speak about something beneficial, then you think, what if people think I am trying to look religious? You want to pray somewhere people can see you. Then you become so worried about their opinions that you lose focus on Allah. Now people are still controlling you. Before, you wanted their praise. Now you fear their judgment. Either way, your heart is still too busy with people. The solution is not to abandon good deeds. The solution is to correct your intention. Ask yourself, if nobody praised me for this, would I still want Allah to accept it? If the answer is yes, continue. Do the good. And keep asking Allah for sincerity. You do not need a perfect heart before you begin worship. You need a heart that keeps returning to Allah. Intentions can change. Correct them. The ego can appear. Fight it. You may enjoy praise. Do not panic. Remind yourself where the blessing came from. Someone says, you are such a good person. Your heart says, Ya Allah, you know what they do not know. Make me better than what they think, and forgive what they cannot see. That is humility. You do not have to argue with every compliment. You simply refuse to build your identity around it. Because praise can become dangerous when you begin needing it. Today people admire you. Tomorrow they may criticize you. If your worship depends on their approval, your faith will rise and fall with their opinions. But when you worship for Allah, people can praise you or misunderstand you. Your direction remains the same. You know who you are trying to please. This is especially important in a time when so much of life is public. People can share almost everything. Their achievements, their charity, their religious thoughts, their personal growth, their worship routines, their journeys. Again, sharing something is not automatically wrong. The danger is what happens inside the heart. Sometimes you begin doing things while already thinking about how they will look to other people. You have not even finished the good deed, and your mind is already imagining the reaction. That is the moment to pause. Ask, if nobody ever knew about this, would it still be worth doing? For a believer, the answer should become yes, because Allah knows. This is why sincerity is so powerful. It makes you stable. People's praise does not make you believe you are perfect. People's criticism does not make you abandon everything good. You are not living for applause. You are living for Allah, and there is another danger. The Nafs may use your worship to make you feel better than someone who worships differently or struggles more than you. You begin praying regularly. Then you look down upon someone who struggles with salah. You begin dressing more modestly. Then you become proud when you see someone who has not reached that point. You leave a certain sin. Then you speak harshly about people who are still trapped in it. You learn more Islam. Then you become impatient with people who know less. What happened? The worship was supposed to make you humble, but the Nafs turned it into a reason to feel superior. This is why you should never forget where you came from. Maybe there was a time when you struggled too. Maybe Allah protected you from a sin someone else is fighting. Maybe Allah gave you an environment that made obedience easier. Maybe someone else is fighting battles you know nothing about. So instead of thinking, why are they not like me? Say, Alhamdulillah that Allah helped me, and may Allah help them too. That is a safer heart. A heart that is grateful instead of proud, compassionate instead of judgmental, and aware that guidance can never be taken for granted. The more Allah guides you, the more you should realize how much you need Him. You need Him to keep your heart firm. You need Him to protect your intention. You need Him to protect you from arrogance. You need Him to accept your deeds. Because doing the deed is not the end. You want Allah to accept it, and that should keep you humble. Imagine spending years doing good while secretly feeding the ego with every deed. Imagine becoming known by everyone as righteous, while forgetting to ask whether Allah is pleased with the heart behind the image. That is why sincerity matters so much. Do not become more interested in looking close to Allah than actually becoming close to Allah. There is a huge difference. Looking religious is something people can see. Being sincere is something Allah knows. And when you have to choose between the two, choose what Allah knows. You do not need everyone to see your relationship with Allah. Some of the most beautiful parts of that relationship should belong only to Him. So build a secret life of worship. Have deeds no one can praise you for. Have moments with Allah no camera ever sees. Have du'as nobody hears. Have sacrifices nobody understands. Have acts of kindness that never return to you as compliments. Let your nafs learn that it will not always receive attention for obedience. And whenever pride enters your heart, remember, you are not doing Allah a favor by worshipping Him. Allah is honoring you by allowing you to worship Him. That changes everything. You stop seeing worship as proof of how good you are. You begin seeing it as proof of how merciful Allah has been to you. And that is where the nafs begins losing another battle, because when your worship stops being about you, it becomes what it was always meant to be, for Allah. So ask yourself, if nobody ever praised my goodness again, would I still want to be good? If nobody knew about my worship, would I still worship? If nobody admired my Islamic knowledge, would I still learn? If nobody thanked me for helping, would I still help? And if those questions make you uncomfortable, do not run away from them. Take them to Allah. Say, Ya Allah, purify my intention. Make me love being accepted by you more than being admired by people. Protect my worship from my ego, and give me good deeds that belong only to you. Because when your nafs cannot stop you from worshipping Allah, it may try to make you worship your own image. Do not let it. Let people forget your deeds if they must. Let people misunderstand you if they must. Let the world never know some of the best things you have done, as long as Allah knows. Because in the end, the goal was never to look righteous in front of people. The goal was to return to Allah with a sincere heart. 5. The most dangerous nafs is not the one that tempts you. It is the one you have stopped questioning. There is something more dangerous than knowing you have a weakness. It is believing you no longer have one. Think about two people. The first person makes a mistake. They know they made a mistake. Their heart feels uncomfortable. They feel regret. They ask Allah for forgiveness. They try to change. Maybe they fall again. But they still know there is something inside them that needs to be fought. Now think about another person. They also make mistakes. But every mistake has an excuse. Their anger is always justified. Their pride is always called self-respect. Their jealousy is always called intuition. Their harsh words are always called honesty. Their unhealthy attachment is always called love. Their desire is always called a need, and whenever something goes wrong, someone else is always responsible. Which person is in greater danger? The one who knows they are struggling, or the one who has given every weakness a beautiful name? This is where the nafs becomes most dangerous. Not when it says, do something wrong, but when it convinces you there is nothing wrong with what you are doing. Because when you know something is wrong, there is still a door back. You can make Tawbah. You can ask Allah for help. You can apologize. You can change. But how do you repent from something you refuse to admit? How do you correct a weakness you believe is a strength? How do you heal from a disease you keep telling yourself you do not have? This is why the nafs you trust without question can become so dangerous. It knows what you want. It knows what you fear. It knows what makes you angry. It knows what makes you feel important. And most importantly, it knows exactly what explanation you want to hear. Imagine someone gives you sincere advice. They say, "You have been speaking very harshly lately." Your first reaction may not be, "Maybe they are right." Instead, Something inside you immediately says, they are too sensitive. Someone says, you have changed. The Nafs says, they are just jealous. Someone says, you need to apologize. The Nafs says, why should I apologize when they started it? Someone says, this relationship is pulling you away from Allah. The Nafs says, they don't understand how deeply I feel. Someone says, you care too much about what people think. The Nafs says, no, I just have standards. Notice what is happening. Before you even examine the advice, the Nafs has already prepared a defense. And sometimes the defense sounds so reasonable that you never look deeper. This is one of the greatest signs that the Nafs has gained too much control. You become very good at explaining yourself, but very bad at correcting yourself. Every mistake has a reason. Every weakness has a story. Every bad reaction has someone else to blame. And slowly, you become almost impossible to advise. Not because nobody tells you the truth, but because every time the truth reaches you, your ego sends it back. This is why one of the most powerful sentences a believer can learn to say is, maybe I am wrong. That sentence sounds simple, but the Nafs hates it. Because the Nafs wants certainty about itself. I know my intentions. I know what happened. I know they are wrong. I know what is best for me. But sometimes you do not know. Sometimes your emotions are too strong. Sometimes your desire is affecting the way you see the situation. Sometimes your pain is speaking. Sometimes your pride is speaking. Sometimes your fear is speaking. And sometimes you are so attached to the outcome you want that anything against it feels wrong. That is why you need something greater than your feelings to guide you. You need Allah's guidance. Your feelings matter, but they are not revelation. Your desires are real, but they are not commands. Your emotions deserve to be understood, but they do not deserve to become your master. This is one of the greatest lessons Islam teaches through fasting. Think about what happens when you fast. Your body says, I am hungry. You do not pretend you are not hungry. The hunger is real. Your body says, I want water. The thirst is real. Water may be right in front of you. You may be completely alone. You could drink, but you do not. Why? Because Allah said, not yet. Think about what fasting is teaching your Nafs. It is teaching it, wanting something does not mean you must have it. That lesson is much bigger than food. You may want to say something in anger. You do not have to say it. You may want someone's attention. You do not have to chase it. You may want revenge. You do not have to take it. You may want a relationship. You do not have to cross Allah's boundaries for it. You may want people to admire you. You do not have to perform for them. You may want to win an argument. You do not have to destroy a relationship to prove that you were right. I want this is not the same as I need this, and neither of those sentences automatically means Allah is pleased with this. That understanding gives you freedom. Many people think freedom means doing whatever you want. But think about it. If you have to obey every desire, are you really free? If anger tells you to speak and you cannot stop yourself, are you free? If attention makes you feel valuable and you cannot live without it, are you free? If you know a relationship is damaging you but you cannot walk away because your heart is attached, are you free? If someone's opinion can destroy your entire day, are you free? If you cannot admit that you were wrong because your ego will not allow it, are you free? That is not freedom. That is being controlled. Real freedom is being able to feel something without becoming its servant. You can feel anger and remain quiet. You can feel attraction and protect your boundaries. You can feel jealousy and refuse to harm someone. You can feel hurt and refuse to become cruel. You can want something deeply and still say, if Allah does not want this for me, I will let it go. That is strength. And Salah teaches the same lesson in another way. You are busy. Your Nafs says, finish this first. The prayer reminds you, Allah comes first. You stand, you bow. Then you go into sujood. Think about sujood. The part of your body that you show to the world is placed on the ground. Your face, the face people recognize, the face you protect, the face connected to your image, you place it down before Allah. And in that position, there is no room for pretending you are the highest authority. You are a servant. Allah is your Lord. That truth is one of the greatest cures for the Nafs, because the Nafs wants life to revolve around itself. What do I want? How do I feel? What do people think about me? Why did they disrespect me? Why did I not get what I wanted? Why did they choose someone else? Why did this happen to me? Me, me, me. But worship pulls your heart away from that center. It reminds you, life is not only about you. You were created for Allah. And something beautiful happens when you accept this. You no longer need every desire to be fulfilled. You no longer need every person to understand you. You no longer need to win every argument. You no longer need everyone to like you. You no longer need every door to open. You begin asking a different question. Not, did I get what I wanted? But, was Allah pleased with the way I responded? That question changes everything. Maybe the relationship ended, but did you keep your dignity and your deen? Maybe someone insulted you, but did you control your tongue? Maybe someone else received the blessing you wanted, but did you protect your heart from jealousy? Maybe you failed, but did you return to Allah instead of giving up? Maybe someone corrected you, but did you listen? This is how the believer begins training the Nafs, not by pretending desires do not exist, but by refusing to let desires become the leader. And you will not always win. There will be days when you lose the battle. You will become angry. You will say something you regret. You may become jealous. You may seek attention. You may return to an old habit. You may delay a prayer. You may become attached to something that is not good for you. You may discover pride inside yourself. Do not let the Nafs use that failure against you too, because after convincing you to fall, it may whisper another lie. You will never change. Look at you. You have made Tawbah before. You keep failing. What's the point? Do not believe that voice either. Return to Allah. Again and again and again. Tawbah exists because Allah knows human beings make mistakes. The goal is not to become a person who never struggles. The goal is to become a person who keeps returning. There is a huge difference. A believer can fall without choosing to stay down. A believer can make a mistake without turning the mistake into an identity. A believer can discover something ugly in their heart without losing hope in Allah's mercy. Sometimes discovering your weakness is itself a blessing, because now you know what to fight. The person in greater danger is the one who sees nothing wrong with themselves. They never apologize. They never question their intentions. They never accept advice. They never think, maybe my heart needs work. Everything is always someone else's fault. Their family, their spouse, their friends, their past, their enemies, their circumstances. Everyone is responsible except them. Be careful if your story always makes you the innocent one. Be careful if every disagreement ends with you believing the other person is completely wrong. Be careful if every person who advises you suddenly becomes your enemy. Be careful if you can easily describe the faults of everyone around you but struggle to name your own. And be especially careful when you begin believing your good deeds make you safe from the Nafs. You may pray 5 times a day and still struggle with pride. You may read Quran and still struggle with jealousy. You may give charity and still love praise. You may speak beautifully about Islam and still treat people badly in private. You may know many Islamic teachings and still refuse one simple sentence, I was wrong. Religious knowledge does not remove the need to examine yourself. Sometimes it makes self-examination even more important, because now the Nafs has more beautiful words available to hide behind. So never become too confident in yourself. Be confident in Allah's mercy. Trust Allah's guidance. Ask Him for firmness, but remain aware of your own weakness. There is a powerful dua in admitting, Ya Allah, I need you to protect me from myself, because sometimes we ask Allah to protect us from enemies outside, but we forget the battle happening inside. We ask, Ya Allah, protect me from people who want bad for me. But how often do we ask, Ya Allah, protect me from the desires inside me that pull me away from you? We ask Allah to expose fake people, but do we ask Him to expose our own fake intentions? We ask Allah to remove toxic people, but do we ask Him to remove toxic qualities from our own hearts? We ask Allah to humble those who hurt us, but do we ask Him to remove our own pride? We ask Allah to change our circumstances, but sometimes the greatest change needs to happen inside us. That is a different level of dua. Ya Allah, show me what I cannot see in myself. Ya Allah, correct me before my mistakes become part of my character. Ya Allah, do not let my ego reject the truth. Ya Allah, make me love guidance more than I love being right. Ya Allah, if I am chasing something that will take me away from you, give me the strength to leave it. Ya Allah, if my nafs is making something wrong look right, show me clearly. Imagine making those du'as sincerely. You are asking Allah for something greater than comfort. You are asking for truth, and truth can sometimes hurt before it heals. Maybe Allah shows you that the person you keep calling your destiny is simply someone you became too attached to. Maybe He shows you that what you called self-respect was actually pride preventing you from apologizing. Maybe what you called honesty was anger without control. Maybe what you called intuition was jealousy. Maybe what you called confidence was a deep need for attention. Maybe what you called patience was fear of letting go. Maybe what you called just who I am was something you were supposed to change years ago. Do not be afraid of seeing these things. Be afraid of never seeing them, because you can fight what you recognize. You can repent from what you admit. You can change what you are willing to face. The greater danger is living inside a lie that makes you feel comfortable. So tonight, ask yourself one question, not about your spouse, not about your family, not about your friends, not about the people who hurt you, about yourself. Ask, what has my nafs been telling me that I believe simply because I want it to be true? Then be quiet. Do not rush to defend yourself. Maybe an answer will come that you do not like. Sit with it, take it to Allah. And remember, not every thought deserves your trust. Not every feeling deserves your obedience. Not every desire deserves to be fulfilled. Not every excuse deserves to be believed. And not everything that feels right is right. Your nafs may speak loudly, but it does not have to lead you. Your anger may speak, your pain may speak, your ego may speak, your desires may speak, but above all of them is the guidance of Allah. And that is why the most dangerous nafs is not simply the nafs that tempts you, it is the nafs you have stopped questioning, the nafs you automatically believe, the nafs you constantly defend, the nafs that has convinced you that every feeling is truth and every desire deserves an answer. Do not give it that power. Question yourself. Return to Allah. Make Tawbah. Accept sincere advice. Keep your heart humble. And ask Allah again and again to show you truth as truth and give you the strength to follow it. Because one of the greatest victories in this life is not defeating another person. It is reaching the point where your nafs says, I want this, and your heart is strong enough to answer, but I want what pleases Allah more. Your nafs will not always tell you an obvious lie. Sometimes it will tell you exactly what you want to hear. That is why the strongest believer is not the one who blindly trusts every feeling, but the one who keeps bringing the heart back to Allah. So before you follow your anger, your desire, your pride, or your attachment, ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to Allah, or is my nafs simply giving me another beautiful excuse? Keep questioning yourself, keep making Tawbah, and never become too proud to return. If this reminder reached your heart, subscribe for more Islamic reminders. Share this with someone who needs it, and comment, Ya Allah, purify my nafs. May Allah protect us from the lies we tell ourselves and give us hearts that choose His guidance over our desires. Ameen.